first time in his career and in his life, he got emotionally attached to a story. He made it a personal crusade of his to keep the story on the front pages, to make sure that people didn't forget about what happened in Ethiopia. And he'd never done that for any of the other stories in the past.
2 days later, images of this biblical calamity were shown on the BBC lunchtime news. But at the outset, Dad's footage was of no interest to news editors in Europe and the United States. But Dad was haunted by what he had seen. At his own expense, he made his tribute documentary to the famine victims. He called it African Calvary. By now, the world knew the extent of the tragedy. There was a huge humanitarian response. There were touching individual acts of generosity, as well as impressive IOUs from governments. In America, Dad looked on as Vice President Bush signed a bill authorizing $1 billion.
Our distinguished witness here, and I'm going to let him go forward to the President. Might be a little souvenir for you, Mr. Amin, with our heartfelt appreciation. Pleased to have you here.
Dad was now a celebrity. Mom and I basked in his glory. Dad carried his message around the world in an attempt to influence political and spiritual leaders. But there was still that problem with the BBC reluctant to give credit to any but its own, and Dad had to fight for recognition.
Cameramen very rarely get the credit for doing great stories. When they take the majority of the risk, they have to be in the front line to get the pictures. A lot of times, if they're locals, it's their contacts and their access that enables a correspondent from outside to come in and get the story. And he felt he was being shafted, and to a certain degree, he was. But because of his forcefulness and because of his character, he didn't allow himself to be sidelined. And eventually, the credit was given in all the awards as it should have been.
Throughout that period of acrimony with the BBC, Dad remained on good terms with Mike Burke. At a book signing in London of his new biography called Mo, Story of a Frontline Cameraman, Dad asked Mike Burke to say a few words on his behalf. Burke readily agreed and paid a generous and humorous tribute to his cameraman.
Anyway, a public salute, a private one too, such a delight to be with, such a memorable companion, such a character. Mo is unique, such a shy, retiring soul. Modest to a fault, hopeless with money, and business a complete mystery to him, of course. But a man, when things are difficult or dangerous, that you want to be working with. And in this business, there is really no greater accolade than that. Mohamed Amin, a frontline cameraman. Thank you very much.
None of those compliments I don't deserve. But anyway, thank you very much. Bar is still open. Please help yourselves to a drink.
After he did this famine story, then he became a very famous man, and I think that went into his head.
It did change somewhat. He became, as someone said, famous with a small f.
Explain that.
Well, you know, he was famous in his own circle, but I think he thought he was more famous than Mike Berg.
He loved the limelight. He loved being famous. He loved being showered with awards, but he loved them because it was another platform for him to get his message out.
It is my responsibility in the little way that I have the ability or the access to continue telling the world what is happening and to continue reminding that the problem hasn't gone away. So it's one story that really has shaken me. I have seen a lot of horrors, wars, executions in the past, which has never bothered me. But I feel here is a situation where people are dying simply because there is no food. You know, something we take for granted in our normal lives.
He was a unique individual in that he could get the stories using his contacts in Africa, and he could distribute the stories using his contacts in the West. So he was that bridge between them.
A rumor has swept the camp. Food has arrived. The children run to collect it. But it is only a rumor. There is no food. Watching scenes like this, a young Irishman, lead singer of the Boomtown Rats, called Bob Geldof, decides he must do something. Using his contacts in the pop world, Geldof mobilizes Britain's pop stars to record Band Aid. In America, Harry Belafonte is inspired by Band Aid. He also brings the cream of America's popular musicians together under the banner of USA for Africa to record a song written by Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie. The single is destined to be a worldwide hit. It is called We Are the World.
Hold it, everybody, please. First, I would like you to meet Bob Geldof, who is really the inspiration for this whole thing. Thank you, Chef. He just came back from Ethiopia, and he'd like to talk to you.
Oh, would I? Well, maybe to put you in the mood of the song you're about to sing, which hopefully will save millions of lives, I think it's best to remember that the price of a life this year is a piece of plastic 7 inches wide with a hole in the middle. And I don't know if we in particular can conceive of nothing, but nothing is not having a cardboard box to sleep under at -10 degrees. Nothing is not having any drink to get drunk on, not having water. And you walk into one of the corrugated iron huts and you see meningitis and malaria and typhoid buzzing around in the air, and you see dead bodies lying side by side with the live ones, and on a good day you can only see 120 people die slowly in front of you. And in some of the camps you see 15 bags of flour for 27,500 people. And it's that we're here for. And I don't want to bring anybody down, but maybe it's the best way of making what you really feel, why you're really here tonight, come out through this song. So thanks a lot, everybody, and let's hope it works.
There have been charity concerts before, but 1985 was a year that marked the rise of the charity Songfest. From now on, the Star-Spangled Spectacular, with all the hype of promotion and publicity, would galvanize the world into giving and giving and giving. And in amazement, this extraordinary phenomenon I put down to my father and his camera.
We are the world.